Hey there, friends. So I've got an interesting little story to tell you today about some stuff that's been going down the past couple weeks, but I also need to go shoot a video that I'm super excited about, but the batteries for my camera are charging and I'm not actually sure where I'm going to go shoot it. So I'm going to go do some location scouting and I'm going to bring you all along with me if you don't mind. Drex here from Drex Factor Poi, bringing you the love of poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. And today I want to talk a little bit about kind of the things that we hold on to and why, and the impact that that has on the various things that we throw ourselves into, including sometimes flow arts. And before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Pyroterra Light Toys, LMF Props, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all these amazing companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links that I've got down in the description of this video. All right, let me grab my mask here so we can begin this journey in earnest. So there's a bunch of public parks around where I live here in Northeast DC and everything. And they're usually my go-to for shooting outside, and I do want to shoot outside for this video. Thing is that it's Sunday, and there's usually a lot of people out playing like soccer, basketball, or what have you, so the parks can be just a little bit crowded. So I might have to do a little bit of walking and searching before I find a place that's going to be any good to shoot in. All right, so our story so far. A few weeks ago, I noticed something rather disconcerting, namely that there was this bulge forming in the center of the keyboard of my laptop. Quick Google search told me that this was the result of the battery inside swelling up, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, wasn't a big problem because I wasn't traveling or anything. I didn't need to use the battery. But the big problem is that it turns out that then makes the battery a fire hazard. Oh dear. So after a month of kind of not doing anything about it, I finally bit the bullet and took my laptop in for repair. I spent the 48 hours before that basically putting out a week's worth of content, which is kind of absurd. But hey, cool to know that I can do that in a pinch, right? So this then led to a 2-week period in which I was without my laptop, and I discovered just how great the limitations were on what I could do without it. You know, I edit all of my videos on my laptop in either Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro. I use my laptop constantly for writing, for researching, for all of these different things. And you know, I have like a tablet and everything that has a keyboard and everything, but it's really not the same thing. The ability to jump back and forth between browser windows and easily cut and paste things is something that you just can't do as well on a tablet. And yes, we shall indeed take a moment to stick a little pin in my level of privilege, wherein being bereft of a laptop is a somewhat crippling thing to have to endure. I know that there are many people out there that cannot afford to acquire such equipment, and that doubtlessly has an impact on their ability to do what I do for a living. So yes, I recognize that this is hashtag first world problems, but stick with me here. So like this actually left me with quite a bit of anxiety because I felt like I couldn't interact with or communicate with the world in the way that I was used to doing. And there was something about that felt almost crippling in some ways. Now, I did get used to it. Interestingly enough, when I got my laptop back, it was one of those things that the first day or so was actually kind of an adjustment because I wasn't used to being able to get work done. But there was also something interesting about not having it in that it almost went beyond the ability to communicate or get work done or what have you, and became more of a question of like almost lacking something that was like a comfort blanket, if that makes sense. Which is interesting because I've had a variety of different things in my world that have functioned as that comfort blanket over the years. When I was younger, I was somewhat infamous for dragging around a really heavy backpack with me wherever I went. It'd be filled with books and drawing supplies, and basically it was kind of filled with all of the different ways that I could escape from whatever, you know, whatever weird was going on in the world and everything, that I just couldn't handle at any given point, right? It also was the thing that this would put an enormous strain on my back and shoulders and everything. And there was something that happened at the beginning of quarantine that I didn't even notice at the time, but came up as I was thinking and discussing being without my laptop. So I have scoliosis, and unfortunately we didn't catch it when I was a teenager, so the curvature seems to be permanent. Now, it's not a severe curvature of the spine, but it is enough that I'm more flexible in one direction than I am in the other. And the part that's probably a little bit more salient for our day-to-day purposes is that it also is one of those things that sometimes leads to lower back problems for me, especially after a long day of running around or carrying around a heavy backpack, for example. So early on in quarantine, there came to be a point at which I kind of decided to switch over from carrying around my usually heavy backpack and everything to carrying around very little. In fact, this little shoulder bag that I'm wearing right now that has like a set of poi and nothing else in it has kind of become the default, I guess, thing that I carry with me when I leave the house. And that's been great, not just because it's led to less lower back pain for me, but also I realized that just in general, I feel like I'm carrying less weight on my shoulders. And yes, there's absolutely a lot to unpack in that statement. So that backpack that I carry around is not just full of stuff for entertaining myself and giving me kind of a place to go hide from the ills of the world, but also generally a lot of stuff that I use to solve other people's problems. Wet wipes and tissues, audio converters, and just all kinds of things that I find that people will occasionally need when I run into them, Band-Aids and things like that. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but it's also kind of interesting to me that part of this comfort blanket that I was carrying around with me and everything was ways of solving problems for other people. And again, no judgment on people that do that sort of thing. Clearly, it's something that I have done for quite a long time. But I realized that some of the weight that I was carrying was the weight of other people's problems, if that makes sense. I know that we're kind of straining the metaphor here, but stick with me, okay? And there was something interesting, not just about the exercise of figuring out what I really needed that I could stick in this shoulder bag, but also in kind of giving away my need to solve other people's problems as I travel from place to place and everything. And don't get me wrong, there are still cases where I will bring my backpack and I will have the stuff that I would need to solve other people's problems for them and everything. But I guess at a certain point in quarantine, I realized that I didn't feel like that was essential anymore, that somehow carrying around less weight with me became more important than just having whatever was necessary to fix any particular problem that I might run into in 1 in 1,000 times, right? So it's gotten me thinking a lot about the things that we carry with us and why, When we march into the flow arts, we're doing something that's a little unusual. We're doing something that is definitely not mainstream. And I think that there usually tends to be a reason why that happens. Why else would you embrace a thing that, quite frankly, pulls you into a very different world than the one that you're used to? There's usually a reason for that, right? And once again, I do want to make it clear that I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But it is interesting to think about, what is the thing that I'm carrying into this with me? What is the weight that I'm carrying with me as I get into the world of poi spinning and everything? I've been doing a little bit of thinking on that topic myself. And, at least for why I originally got into it and everything, I can remember that a part of it was wanting to feel good at something, wanting to feel like I could accomplish something, and feeling like so many things in the world were far beyond my ability to have any kind of progress in. In addition, I remember when I started getting attention for it and everything, I felt really important, and I had never felt important in my life. That was something that felt really, really good to me then. But that also changed very early on, and there came to be a point at which I realized what I was doing was helping other people, and that's what really kept me with it for so long and continues to keep me with it to this day. And whatever reasons I had when I first got into poi spinning, I realized that now a big part of why I stick with it and why I continue to produce content and why I, continue to put myself out there even on days when I have no motivation to do so is that I know that it's going to find the eyeballs of somebody who is struggling, somebody that is working through their own stuff and everything. And, you know, I can help do something that's going to brighten their day a little bit. And as it turns out, the weight to do that is significantly less than a heavy backpack. Cool, so good news. We're at the spot that I had in mind when I started this little walk and everything, and it is wide open and clear. So I think this is going to work for filming a little bit later. But in the meantime, you've come this far with me, so how about I show you a little bit of flow? So thank you for walking with me. I'm going to head back to the house and grab my camera. Hopefully the batteries are now fully recharged and everything. I'm kind of curious. What's the weight that you're carrying with you? What brings you to the flow arts world, and what weight are you trying to shed right now? Let me know down in the comments. And of course, if you dug this video, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe so that other people can find it. And of course, a huge thank you, because this video would not be possible without the kind contributions of these nice folks right here. These are my supporters over on Patreon, and they make this video and all the videos on this channel possible. If you would like to sign up to support the work that I do, please head on over to patreon.com/DirectsFactorPoi and sign up. You can get early access to all of my content, as well as a say in what topics I tackle in the future, plus some cool behind the scenes stuff and some extras on occasion too. So go check that out, please and thank you. All right, friends, so I'm super excited for this video that I'm going to be shooting a little bit later. I'm going to go run and get to that and everything, but thank you all for indulging me and listening to me and everything. Sometimes I get my brains onto some interesting topics, and sometimes I'm just like talking at the camera and everything. So either way, thanks for joining me, and I will be back real soon with some awesome tutorials for you. See you then. Peace.